Hello, I'm ShieldWar100 and welcome back to Gotham for another Batman Miniatures game report. It's been a little while since I've done just a standard game report. Been doing some how to play videos quite recently, but I thought there's some developments that have gone on with some crews that I wanted to show off, and it's been a while since I've done just a nice ordinary bog standard game, so here we are on a nice ordinary bog standard board. Today we've got a showdown at the aptly named Demon's Head Brewery. Batman using all of his detective mastery there to track Ra's al Ghul and his crew for the day, consisting of himself, his loyal bodyguard Ubu, and his hand-picked chosen acolytes and assassins, a huge gaggle of nasty henchmen to back him up today. His plot: he's been discovered, he's trying to lace some runoff from his least successful Lazarus pits into a chemical plant here disguised as the Demon's Head Brewery. Is he trying to poison Gotham's water supply? Is he just trying to use it to create super soldiers? Who knows? But the Batman isn't going to allow him to get away with it, and because the stakes are so high, the Batman is not going in on his own. Oh no, it's the Bat Family team going in, comprising of the multiverse version of Batman, a very powerful model indeed, with Nightwing, Damian Wayne Robin, and as usual, ever faithful Alfred in intel support there from the Batcave, giving him up to the minute news and views, which is kind of what I need. Right, so there you go. Yes, both the Bat Family and the League of Assassins have had some quite interesting updates since the Multiverse Batman model has actually had a full rules overhaul, actually quite a few months ago, to be perfectly honest, but I just haven't covered it because I'm stupid and lazy, or one or the other. And so this model can now be used in a couple of different ways. I'm going with the leader version. It gives him a whole bunch of buffs and things to help him lead a crew into battle, shall we say, and we'll cover them as we go. For the League's part, both Ubu and Ra's have actually had a bit of an overhaul to make the crew work a little bit better with their master in charge, because a lot of this crew is more about suspect marker play than it is actually killing models, which takes a bit of time to get your head around. But when you first try it, you think that these guys are all about killing people, but no, that's more the Court of Owls territory. These guys are more about working and lurking in the shadows. But Ra's al Ghul, however, is a leader who's very much combat focused and coming back to life focused, of course, too, which isn't so brilliant for a crew which wants to work its suspect markers. And the other potential leader, Talia al Ghul, is so much better at manipulating those suspect markers. They've actually they've given Ra's some really cool new rules which allow him to teleport his acolytes and henchmen around the board, and Ubu, whilst Ra's is off murdering people, Ubu can actually take over the leading of the crew a bit because he's got the lieutenant rule now. So yeah, all very, very cool, all very, very sweet. Should make it a little bit easier for this crew to operate whilst not putting so much of a handbrake on their very expensive Ra's al Ghul model leader. Okay, right, that's the crews and the setup for today's game. I'm actually going to go and do deployment, draw the deployment and put out the street lights and sewer markers for inside the brewery, of course. Work that out, and I'll be back in just a moment. Deployment done and ready to go into the first turn. Okay, so just to let you know, we drew Vanguard as our deployment zones for this particular game. Easy enough for corners. Deploy one friendly model up to 4 inches outside the deployment zone as well. Quite straightforward and simple. The Batman crew won the initiative for deployment, so they got to choose. They went over here so they can sort of survey things a bit better. Also, it denies the League of Assassins the most use of the sewer markers to get their big crew around the board. The Batman crew being much more mobile because they got grapple guns aplenty. So we got Batman and Robin up on top of the warehouse there. Alfred bundling around on the bottom. Nightwing himself is a shadowed nightmare, so he'll be deploying at some point during the game from an opposing suspect marker, most likely. Right, for the League of Assassins part, they chose Raish to get deployed a little bit further forward thanks to the deployment card. The rest of the crew is for the most part back here in terms of various assassin types, except for this guy who has the scout ability, so he moved forwards into base contact with that sewer marker there, gets someone who can go almost anywhere on the board straight away. Right, that's basically deployment, I think. Yeah, in terms of purchased equipment, there's a bit of it here and there throughout both crews. Batman's got an upgraded suit for +1 endurance. Both Robin and Nightwing have got handcuffs. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Nightwing's got an extra magazine for his batlings. For the League of Assassins, Ra's al Ghul's got pure Lazarus to give himself a bit more regeneration. Ubu's sporting some combat braces to make him a little bit more survivable in close combat than he already is. And oh yes, of course, suicide bomber, double-handed sword acolyte, the one which I always use, has a grapple gun and a venom dose to keep him true to form. Okay, that's basically that though for equipment. Ready to go into turn number 1. Let's get moving and playing cards and scoring and all sorts of things. Right, ready to get on with the take the lead and audacity and raise the plan phases for round 1. Okay, and just done it. So in the first phase, From the Shadows was played by the League of Assassins. There's the text. Okay, they chose Damian Wayne as being the model they needed to kill first in order to fulfill the criteria of this card. It's not likely to come out, to be perfectly honest, because he's very mobile and doesn't now have to go near them. But nonetheless, he's the softest target on the board, and frankly, it cycles the card out of the hand anyway. So if they do score it, great. If they don't, not a big deal. Right. The family asked to play in the first phase. Neither side had any play in the second phase either. Raise the plan. Down audacity, in which every single model in the Bat family got an audacity counter, of course. There's 4 models. For the League's part, the Raish got 1, and Ubu got a point of audacity. The guy who's furthest forward did, just in case he needs it, and of course, rocket propelled grapple gun as acolyte 2. So there we are. Okay, that's go in the execute the plan phase and get this Bat family, with the initiative. Well, the Bat family, despite having initiative, has 6 passes due to various, being outnumbered factors, and also the fact they've got an informer or 2. And so they opted to use one of them, puts them down to 5. So the League of Assassins went first. This assassin 1, I think he is. Or is he 3? No, he's number 3. Assassin 3. They all look the same to me. Went first. He's inspired by both Raish's and Ubu's presence. He went forward and popped down a suspect marker, and that's him done. Okay. Yes, that's got a feeling. Yes, the Bat family is definitely going to pass again. So we'll see what the League of Assassins is going to get another go in just a second. Let's see what they do. Right, well, the Bat family have been quite happy to run down most of their passes. I'll just recount what's happened over the last couple of activations or so. First, as we saw, this assassin went, then this one did. He moved over here, same thing, popped down a suspect marker, made sure it was more than 4 inches away from the other one, of course. Another pass the Bat family followed, so the assassin over by the sewer marker, who was just about inspired by Raish back here, used the sewer marker to move over here, and then used his inspiration based tactical action, to pop down another suspect marker. Okay, sorry about the jerky camera there. Right, yes, so we're going to go with what's his name now, Raish next, as another pass has just been used. That gives the Bat family 2 passes left after this. Right, Ra's al Ghul is going to use his oh, he's got a new trait which allows someone manipulating the shadows or something like that, or leading of the shadows. I can't quite remember what it's called, but what it basically allows him to choose a nearby henchman. We're going to go with let's go with Ubu himself, shall we say? Yeah, and he is going to be able to move. You pick a friendly suspect marker on the board and put Ubu within 4 inches of it. Okay, so let's just move around the table. Beg your pardon. He's actually going to move. He's going to pop himself within 4 inches. He's going to go over here. There's not really much point having cover in this particular game given the lack of guns, but so they're over here, and that does remove the friendly suspect marker, but it basically move Ubu into it's a friendly henchman, incidentally, over here. Okay, I think that might be a bit further than 4. We'll pop him there anyway. So there you go. So now we've got a nice little flanking force set up over here now. So I'm just more or less doing this to show off the ability rather than anything else. I have to, be brutally honest. But I wanted to show you how how the league can now work now, and you can imagine the quite nasty implications you can have for doing this sort of thing. If you're playing one of the more static crews, not Bat Family, but you can potentially, if you can get suspect markers near to your opponent, you can really send your henchmen off on infiltration runs against them. Damned useful. Right, anyway, so continuing on Raish's activation, that is his special action to do that. He's now going to pop down a suspect marker. I did pre-measure. He can pop one just about here, I think. That is 4 inches away from the other one, and then he's going to move. So I'll do that, and I'll be right back, okay, with the next activation as well. Okay, I'm just going to move Ra's al Ghul up, okay? He's going to try and just jet up a bit, but probably try and stay in inspiration range of his mates. Yes, and as I said, League Acolyte 2 moved up next. Simply the most number of activations I think a crew has had in a row in one of my battle reports, and he moved up, popped down a suspect marker because he was still inspired by Raish there. Okay, right, 1 pass left for the Bat Family. Let's see if they're gonna, use it or lose it. Well, entering the game with a quip remark and a smile, Nightwing burst from the shadows above this crate and dived down into combat with these 2 acolytes here. His Shadowed Nightmare ability allows him to deploy after an enemy puts down a suspect marker, so he chose this one. This one has just been put down, so yeah, of course that's the one I went with. Goes within 8 inches, enough to put him in base contact with both of these guys, and yes, it was the Bat Family's turn next, so there you go. He activated. Right, he was over here. I'm going to move him back now, just to show what's happened. Okay. What happened was he attacked both models in close combat. When he appears, both these guys being henchmen became scared, which reduces their defense for the rest of the turn. So he was, this acolyte's on 3, this acolyte's on 2 only, so not too good for them. They both put in maximum effort, as you can see from these here, Nightwing had to put his full complement of effort back in just in order to be able to get any dice at all against them. He used the strength die against this acolyte at the front with the 2-handed sword, hitting and causing altogether 5 points of stun, which was enough to knock out the acolyte. So let's replace that with that. Okay, there was 1 attack die left against the defense 2 assassin. It did hit, but the assassin was able to block it with his dice, in the pool remaining. So he's still around, albeit very close to being KO'd himself and scared. So yeah, not a great turn. Nightwing, that was Nightwing's tactical action. He does, however, then have a special action which he used to arrest the KO'd assassin. Not so good. And then he moved over to here where his activation marker is. Yeah. and then he used Vigilante's work, took a point of effort, put down a suspect marker. Vigilante's work allows him to make an effort to do a manipulate action, I think it is. So yeah, he can pick up, put down a suspect marker, and doing so, because it's within 4 inches of this suspect marker, allowed him to play Under Their Noses from the Bat family's hand. Oh, incidentally, I forgot to mention the Bat family has its own set of objective cards dedicated to it from the app. It comprises, like the Suicide Squad before it, of a selection of cards from other crews, predominantly the Batman crew, of course, but there are some others from other decks. There's this one's from League of Assassins, place a suspect marker in 4 inches of an enemy suspect marker for 2 points. There's some Soldiers of Fortune ones in there as well, to my knowledge, and of course most of the, I think all the generic ones are in there too. But yeah, there you go. There's the first score on the board for the Bat family, and an enemy model down, one severely damaged, nearly KO'd himself. Yeah, so pretty good entrance there for Nightwing. Back to the League. Okay, the scared assassin went next. He was still, inspired by race presence, despite being scared. Sorry, I like saying it. He moved up into base contact with Nightwing and popped down a suspect marker. He can't attack, don't forget, because he didn't have inspiration. It did, however, allow him to play the League's version of Under Their Noses, the same objective card as before, as we got some objective suspect markers, shadowing suspect markers, shadowing suspect markers. Yeah, nice. Okay, so 2 points on the board for the League. Before the activation ended, the Bat family played Cyber Attack from their hand. It's one of the Soldiers of Fortune cards. We have seen it on the channel before. 2 points. They have to wait. They chose the two League suspect markers to be this one and the one that was just put down over here. So 2 different parts of the board. That should stretch them, and if the counter reaches 0 and either of these 2 suspect markers are on the table still, then they'll score the 2 points. That's how that works. Okay, right, so that concludes the League's activation. We're going to go back to the Bat family now, who do not have any passes left now. Alfred next, from the safety of the Batcave. He hacked into a security camera and started to exert his influence over here. In the game terms, he has audacity, and he's also inspired by the Batman. This model's got a radio as well, so he'll always be inspired by whatever leader. He started over here. He moved to base contact with the sewer marker and then manipulated it with his inspired base manipulation to pop himself here. He then used his tactical action to put down a suspect marker. Lovely. And yes, that allowed him to score another copy of Under Their Noses, the only card that seems to be in the game so far. So there you are. Suspect marker within 4 inches of another suspect marker. Suspect markers tracking suspect markers, tracking suspect markers, tracking suspect markers. Yes, that's how it goes. For the League's part, they were not idle though. They determined to play a different card as well. Oh yeah, Cyber Attack still going, so I forgot that one. Multiple Threats though came out for the League of Assassins. It was scored at the end of the turn. They numbered their 5 suspect markers between 1 and 6, and yeah, so there you go. And at the end of the round, they'll roll a dice if it matches one of those numbers. So anything but a 1, basically, for the 5 suspects. They'll score the 3 points, depending upon which ones are still in the board at the end of the game. Okay, it's a good time to play that card because it's a 5-6 chance of scoring. That's pretty good. Well, for the League's part, Acolyte 4 activated. He was inspired, but he can't really get far enough away from any suspect markers to put one down safely. And so yeah, he popped himself over here, where he's at least got a shot on Nightwing, and he's in range of a couple of enemy suspect markers next turn if he needs to go picking any up. Okay, that's him done and dusted, really. We're going to go back now to the Bat family, who can't pass anymore, like I said earlier. Damian Wayne next for the Bat family. He activated from up here with audacity. He popped himself down. He's an acrobat, don't forget, so he used the sewer with these manipulate from being inspired by his dad next to him. So he popped up over here and then used his standard tactical action to attack and knock out the assassin quite easily. The assassin put in maximum effort to reduce the incoming damage was not enough. I mean, unfortunately, Robin's katanas are such that he would have got combo, so that's why so many efforts were put in just to reduce the dice pool. Wasn't enough. The strength die went through and knocked him out. So yeah, that's all there is to it, unfortunately, for this guy. Then Robin then played Dirty Job from the hand for 1 point. It's only 1 point, I know, it's not a great card, but it gets you points for taking out the enemy, and that's useful for the Bat family, who need to be redressing the odds too. So there you go, 1 point scored there for Robin. And then the replacement card, I'll let you in on a secret. It was Get Them Off the Streets, which scores 3 points for arresting a model, as we all know. Right, the problem is, if you arrest him now with his special action, which he still has, he will take this model off the board, which is great. Obviously, we don't less models on the board, and we don't like them having the chance of getting back up again. But the trouble is that he can't play that card this turn, because he's just played Dirty Job in this activation. So he'll have to. So it'll be missing out on a model he could easily arrest next turn, for example, potentially. But I think on balance, we are going to arrest him now. There's plenty more models to arrest on the Ghul crew, and can't take the risk of this guy coming round and beating people back and doing damage. Okay, so there we go. That's that. Robin scores a point, and we're going to go back to the League of Assassins crew. I think they might only have one model left to go. Oh my god, I forgot how dangerous Ubu actually is. That was a very close call. Ubu activated. I forgot. I looked at his what's the word? His stat card, and he actually has Inspire Fear. I forgot that, so now it was Robin's turn to become scared. But yeah, I mean, he put one effort into making it a bit more scary as well. So yeah, so Robin's reduced defense then came under the pressure from this massive scimitar wielding giant. So yes, who both sides put in maximum effort, and through luck, only a couple of hits got through. Although the strength die did come up with a 6, so couldn't block that one, but Robin was able to block the actual attacks, so meaning that the critical hit got through, doing 3 points of blood damage. One more hit getting through would have killed the Boy Wonder, and that would have been a sucky time for the Bat family, losing one of their 4 models. But nonetheless, he is hurt bad, and yeah, so there you go. But nearly enough to cause some proper damage to the Bat. Well, and it's a wound he won't get better. These wounds, they do not heal. Right, we're going to go back now. There's one model left on the board to go, and I think we all know who that is. Yes, the Cape Crusader himself activated his grapple gun and ended up on the very nice high point of the board. He was in sight of Ubu and in range with his batlings, so he used one of his 2 sets of batlings to KO the hulking bodyguard before he could do more damage to his son. And just in the nick of time, I think that is Robin's. My stupidity, but we'll put that down to Damian Wayne's recklessness. Got himself into trouble there, but that's that, and there you go. That's enough to KO the bodyguard for maybe next turn. Who knows if he'll be up or not? I don't know, but there you go. That's Batman's go. He does have several other handy abilities that you could use, but that's him out of actions for this particular turn. I think it was overall well spent, even though I didn't score any points. Right, that's all the models activated in this execute the plan stage. We're now going to go into the recount phase, and I'll catch up with who scored what. Okay, well, recount phase is now complete, so let's go through who came round and who didn't. Well, the arrested models obviously didn't, but Ubu did. He came round from being unconscious, so he's back on 1 point of willpower, but knocked down. So yeah, not great for him, but at least he's still a threat that has to be dealt with. In terms of scores, cyber attack has actually counted down just for the Bat family, so that scores them their 2 points because both of the suspect markers were still on the board. Okay, for the League's part, unfortunately From the Shadows does not score because they did not kill Damian Wayne, but they came bloody close. So that's one they didn't manage to get. However, the multiple threats card did come up trumps for them. They rolled a 2, which was one of the numerical counters they had on the board, and so they get a lovely 3-pointer just there. And from their hand, they were able to play Do Not Deviate from the Plan. It's played in the 4th phase, and scores in the 4th phase, and because the Bat family did not reveal any suspects, and they placed more than one. So yeah, there you go. They get that lovely 2 points there for them. Okay, so yeah, both sides have actually managed to rack up a few points. I'm already not actually sure how many each side scored, so that's good. But that does conclude the first round's activations and moves and everything else. Every model that could took off 1 point of stun damage where they had it. I think that's just basically Nightwing at this point. And yeah, we're ready to go into round 2 now. Okay, so I shall see you as and when. Going into round 2, and I've just completed the first 2 phases, Take the Lead and Raise the Plan respectively. Okay, for both crews playing their cards before things got started, Die Hard was played by the Bat family. 2 points, they chose Alfred to be the model that had to still be in the gaming area because, well, let's put it this way, in order to take him off the game area, the League of Shadows have to then remove suspect markers, and even if enough suspect markers are put down to remove him, they then have to spend their actions taking suspect markers off instead of attacking models. So good trade anyway. Right, so for the League of Assassins, the From the Shadows was played again, where they had to choose a model once again. It was actually quite an interesting decision because didn't know who was going to win the initiative at this point, and so they could have gone with Nightwing, who's pretty much embroiled and close to danger, but they decided to go with Damian Wayne, albeit he's a bit more isolated because he's so damaged and a bit softer in general anyway, and Nightwing is generally a lot faster generally. I mean, they're both fast models anyway, but yeah, so they went with Damian Wayne once again to be the victim. Okay, so right, on to Audacity. Well, actually no, finishing off the Take the Lead phase, sorry, I then rolled, despite having a +1 advantage for his strategist rule, the Bat family won the initiative again on a massive 5-1 die roll. So yeah, pretty emphatic that one. And yeah, so the Bat family, luckily for them, got the initiative. Right, so once again, every model in the Bat family has Audacity, and for the League of Assassins they went with Ubu because you kind of got to, just to maintain the threat, even if it's unlikely he'll get to use it. Ra's al Ghul, of course, because he's the leader. We went with Double Knife guy here, and the assassin number 2, I think. Yes, Assassin 2 down here has it as well, since he probably need to move and stuff, and he's the one who's most likely to be moved away from by Ra's. Right, so that's that. We're going to go into the Take the Lead phases now. We've got some cards on the board and some scores for both in the offing, I expect. Right, okay, well, the Bat family will have the initiative, and this time they're unlikely to be using their passes as much as they did last time. Well, since he not only is marked for death as well as having fairly urgent business to attend to himself, Damian Wayne activated. He's lucky to be alive, don't forget. So he was over here. He knocked out the prostrate Ubu once again, and then used his special action to pick him up. And that scored, to pick him up using his handcuffs as an arrest action, let's be clear on that, which allowed him to play Get Them Off the Streets for 3 points. We've seen it many times. Arrest a model, straight away score 3 points. Very, very, very awesome, and quite lucky that they managed to do it. So yeah, he then moved over here just to get himself out of thumping range. He's still marked for death, don't forget. He's just trying to get so he's out of sight of any ranged weapons and a bit too far away to be, jumped on by multiple others. So yeah, he should hopefully be safe there for his sake, and that's that. For the League's part, during this activation they played We Cannot Be Defeated for 2 points. It will score the end of the turn if they have at least 3 friendly suspects in play that are within 6 inches of each other. They're playing that in the Bat family's activation because they can, and it means that they can then play a different card in their own activation. So there we go. Okay, that's that for this round, for this first activation of round 2. Let's go to the League. Well, Rachel has lost his bodyguard, so he's going to do things himself. He activated. He was over here. First of all, he used his new special Shadows-based ability to get the double knife wielding acolyte to disappear and reappear over here, picking up the suspect marker that this assassin had put down. The ability allows the model to make an attack, to move 4 inches and make an attack as well. So actually no, it allows him to make an attack as well. So he did so against Nightwing. Fortunately for Nightwing, no damage was done. Was hoping to get the knife hit through, maybe, or something like that. Knock him down even, perhaps, would have been good. But no, it was not to be. And so yeah. That if knocking him down would have made the next bit an awful lot nastier, but did not happen. Raish then stormed in himself and attacked Nightwing. Both sides put maximum effort in, as you can see there. Nightwing has no more effort to give now, but he needed to put it in, he felt, and yeah, thankfully he got quite fortunate. Despite being a weapon master, Raish managed to spoon a lot of his attacks. He did hit with the strength die, of course, but overall just one more hit got through for 4 points of blood damage against the Vigilante, which is takes him over halfway towards being dead, but crucially not dead. That could have been a lot worse. Perhaps if Raish hadn't had the arrogant rule, then he would have got that extra die and that would have been another point towards being killed, but was not to be, unfortunately, for the Master of the League of Assassins. So yeah, but nonetheless, 2 models on the Bat family are really hurting at the moment, but they haven't crucially taken anything off. In terms of cards played from the hand, Multiple Threats was played once again from the League of Assassins hand, so this will be another one where they'll score at the end. They've got 4 suspect markers on the board at the moment, so they have a 2/3 chance of scoring it at this moment in time. We'll see if it comes up trumps for them, and that's that. Okay, gonna move back to the Bat family. What are they going to do? Well, it was going to be Nightwing next, wasn't it? He was still in an awful lot of danger over there, and yeah, he's having reached his effort limit. Yeah, it was never going to be him staying. So he was in here. He used his tactical action to beat the nuts out of this assassin who he'd already attacked last turn, easily doing so much damage it was more than enough to knock him out. Didn't arrest him. Decided to engage his Batclaw to jet off out of danger, because I've lost Nightwing rather too many times to being an idiot like this. So yeah, there you go, and that was him basically done. Over here he decided to take the high ground, Anakin, because it's easier, being an acrobat, it's easier for him to get down than it is for other people to get up to him. So there you go, I figured that made most sense. Tell me in the comments if I'm wrong. Okay, that's that for his activation. Oh, sorry, when he did KO that assassin, he played another dirty job for another little point there, just to keep the things ticking over, and yeah, that's him done and dusted. I seem to be making an unfortunate habit of underestimating the League's abilities. Right, well, this acolyte who popped through the suspect marker earlier actually activated next. He was over here. I'm not. So yeah, unfortunately, he's now being over here meant he was put into range of getting Damian Wayne, which he then did, and he jumped him and savaged him. Yeah, both. Damian put in the 2 points of effort he could do. 3 points of effort were put in for the acolyte to really hammer home the attack, and it was enough for 3 points of blood to get through, which is more than enough to take Damian Wayne off the board, unfortunately, for the Bat family. Okay, so yeah, that's pretty nasty. Sorry for the jerky camera movement there, just moving a model around, sorry about that. This allowed the Lazarus pit card to be scored immediately for the League of Assassins crew, because there's no enemy models within 8 inches of Damien. He died alone-ish. His dad's watching, which is probably worse, I expect. Don't have kids, but you know, if it was one of my cats that got killed in front of me, I'd be very upset. So yeah, right. Yes, enough of that. Right, yeah, that was kind of unexpected and kind of brutal. I didn't really think about it. I'm moving this acolyte over here, and then getting him into range of the target for the turn. Yeah, that was pretty gnarly. I didn't really expect that. Yeah, so there you go. I'm brilliant at tactics even without knowing it. Anyway, never mind. Let's go back to the Bat family now, where it's their turn. And yeah, well, Batman's true love, Damian Wayne trait is going to come into it, and I'm sure that's exactly what the League wanted to see. A willpower 9, attack 6 Batman model. We'll see how that goes. Alfred from the Batcave moved over with audacity and picked up this suspect marker, no doubt sniffing out some nefarious plans or whatever from some security camera or whatnot here, and basically removing the suspect marker from the middle of this little clump of them here, which would hopefully disrupt the the objective cards as played by the league so far, but doing so allowed him to play Comb for Everything from the Bat family's hand for 2 points, reveal an enemy suspect, and they got to cycle their deck a bit too, so that's not too bad. Right, back to the league. This assassin back here, who was down here somewhere before, he moved up. The way I use these crates in order to actually make them usable, as opposed to applying the climbing penalty every time, is I just let people move up it at sort of cost of their movement. Otherwise, no one would ever use them. He moved up here, and he used his throwing knives to take another point of blood damage off of Nightwing. It's actually quite, it could have been, with a good roll, he could have actually finished off the vigilante here, but only one hit, and he was quite lucky to get that, just to scraped it on a 4. But because Nightwing has no effort left to give for dodging purposes, so that's him pretty much done. So it could have killed him but didn't. No cards to play, and that's that for this activation. The Batman activated, of course. He moved down here. Then it got a bit complicated. First of all, he used his ability, the I'm a Symbol ability, to move Nightwing down the stairs and pop down a suspect marker. He then attempted to play They Won't See Me Coming as a resource to get himself an additional manipulate action. However, Ra's al Ghul's exhaustive planner trait cancelled it out, so that's gone, I'm afraid. He was going to use that so he could use a manipulate action to pick up the suspect marker and play it as valuable commodities to turn it into loot, but unfortunately that couldn't be done, so instead he used his normal tactical action to do this instead. So that is indeed a loot counter. However, it does use up his tactical action. He was going to throw his last batlings at this guy over here, but was not to be. Okay, so for all that, there was no offensive action taken by Batman this round. I think now it's just down to the league to finish off their activations, and I'll report back. Yeah, relatively straightforward time for the two remaining henchmen on the league side. This guy hopped down from the crate to put down a suspect marker. He was inspired, so he could do that. They needed to put things back into formation. Meanwhile, this guy was over here. He was not able to be inspired, so he could just move up. He's moved into contact with this Bat family suspect marker, maybe for next turn. Okay, right. That concludes all the activations for round number 2. Quite interesting. Both sides have lost some models. It's quite, it's getting pretty battered now and very mixed up. Both sides scoring as well. So on that note, let's go to the recount phase and, recount. Right, well, okay, things to relate. The assassin did not come round. He's still seeing Tweety birds. Let's see what else have we got, though. In terms of scores, though, Die Hard did score for the Bat family because Alfred is still very much in the Batcave. His feed has not been cut off. For the leagues, crews go, though, terms, it's been very profitable for them. First of all, From the Shadows did score. They nominated Damian Wayne, and he was the model to be killed. We Cannot Be Defeated does score for 2 points as well, because they have 1, 2, 3 suspect markers within 6 inches of each other. Multiple Threats did indeed actually come out from the end of the day, at the end of the turn. They had 3 of these counters left, 1, 2 and 4, and they rolled a 4, so there you go, it matches, so 3 points. And finally, from their hand, Eradicate the Order came out for another 3 points, because they have more friendly suspects than the Bat family in play, and that's likely to remain the case for the remainder of the game, just due to the number of models on each side, etc. So yes, a healthy 10 victory points for the League of Assassins there in the end phase of round number 2. But that's how their crew scores. They build up their little, like I always say, they build up their engine of nearby suspect markers and then just accrue. Let's see what the Bat family can do to stop that if they get into turn number 3. Both crews are now suffering. Let's see what happens. Okie dokie, here we go again. Right, in the next phase, turn, the first phase From the Shadows was played in the Take the Lead. Card keeps coming up. The obvious target this time is Nightwing, being the most damaged on the Bat family side. Keeps the pressure on him to stay away from trouble as well, perhaps. Nothing played from the Bat family. The Bat family did, however, win the initiative quite comfortably, having not used any of their passes last last turn, so they're all right on that score, so they'll be going first. Right, on to the second phase. All the Bat family models have Audacity, of course. For the League of Assassins, there's a bit more choice involved. We have this guy up here, he's got one. The assassin next to the suspect marker in the middle has it, of course. Raish, of course, has Audacity there. And we went with the knife dude, who's still taking Damien's blood off his blades. Right, we're going now to the execute the plan phase now, and yeah, let's get the carnage continue. Well, relatively calm start with Alfred activating. First he had Audacity, of course. He moved around here and picked up one of the League of Assassins suspect markers for fun, really, since they can score them from having them down. It makes sense to get rid of them. He then put down a suspect marker, because don't forget he's always inspired because he has a radio, so he has an extra manipulate action. So there you go, he popped down a suspect marker, and because he's within 8 inches and out of sight of this guy, he could play Black Ops from the hand. There's the text if you want to pause and read it, but it gets them 2 lovely points. You've got to keep those scores coming in. The league is known to, well, as you just saw, the league can get theirs in bucket loads at the same time, so that's how they play. So you've always got to keep yourself ticking over, and that's Alfred done. One of the assassins activated next. Oops, forgot something. Excuse me, pardon me. There we go. It's activated marker. He did have Audacity. And he's also inspired, so he was able to pick up the Bat family suspect marker here to start damaging Alfred, because picking up suspect markers is what does it. And then he moved over here. He also popped down a suspect marker. He did that first. Sorry, get the order rightly. He put down a suspect marker, played under their noses. Again, we've seen that a lot today. Then he picked up the suspect marker for the Bat family, and then he moved over here into contact with this one as well to threaten it for next turn, and that's his turn done. Sorry about the goofy order I started relating that in. I knew I was doing it all, I just forgot which order it was in. Alright, Bat family's turn. Well, it was Nightwing's turn next, and he moved up with lots and lots of move to go, and he has bashed in this guy's head. Well, not quite bashed it. That would be murder, wouldn't it? But hey, the guy put in 3 points of effort. Nightwing didn't put any effort in himself, but the strength die alone hitting was sufficient to take this guy well over his consciousness threshold, shall we say. The special action then happened, and Nightwing arrested him with the handcuffs, enabling the Bat family to get them off the streets once again for 3 more points. They need those heavy hitters coming in. Nightwing then used the remainder of his remove. Don't forget he's got vigil. Oops, destroy the scenery, Lee. Destroy the scenery. To use vigil. Don't forget he's got what's the word? It's always on the move trait, which never mind. I'll get that later. Always on the move trait allows him to finish his movement off afterwards, so he ducks out of sight just in case this archer was planning anything tricksy, which he won't be. But well, he won't be now anyway. So yes, if in doubt, go for enemy models with Audacity, because those are the ones who they'll get more out of. If you take out an enemy model with Audacity, then you will really cripple their chance, their ability for the rest of the turn, and that's what Nightwing has just done, and scored 3 points into the bargain. Evil Knife Acolyte activated next with Audacity. He was over here. He moved back, popped down another suspect marker. Next, he's within 4 inches of this one, just peeking out from underneath Ra's al Ghul's base. Allowed him to play under their noses again for 2 more points. Again for the League of Assassins. Wow, this card just keeps coming up for scores for both crews, of course. That's why we see it so often. There's an awful lot going on under people's noses today. Well, Bruce Wayne has had enough of holding back his destructive side after Damien's departure, so he activated his back claw, was easily able to get into combat with Ra's al Ghul himself. He could have gone for the Acolyte who did the deed, but he knows who pulls the strings on this crew. So yes, he went in, and both sides put maximum effort in, as you can see, and well, after all said and done, the attack 6 really did help. Batman being a close combat master and everything as well, just enough to get him enough to do this damage here. Okay, and then he was able to play as a resource back to Arkham. To not only, it wasn't just a KO, it actually removes Ra's as a casualty. Obviously the immortal trait means that he cannot be used. You couldn't score any cards with him anyway, so taking him as a casualty is about as good as it gets. Okay, right, that concludes Batman's activation. We'll go over to the League now, and they are bereft a leader for the time being at least. Okay, I do believe there was only one model left, actually, for the League of Assassins. But first of all, they played Lord of the Pits as a resource, because that card was in their hand, waiting for Batman to remove their leader. So Ra's al Ghul comes back. Hurrah! No damage either. It was a fake Ra's al Ghul or something, I don't know. But yeah, there's that. So he's done. It enabled him to inspire this guy who moved over here and picked up the Bat Family suspect marker, thus further damaging Alfred. Okay, that's that. And that concludes all the models' activations. Ra's does not get to activate. I found out, after everything else that, after my last game where I was bringing models back, that models freshly placed do not get to activate unless it specifically says they do or something. But generally speaking, unless it says otherwise, they do not get to activate in the turn they're popped onto the board. Okay, right. That concludes this round's activations. All the models are pretty much stuffed into this corner. That's not by my design, honest. Just the way it works out. It's a very aggressive Bat Family strategy, I guess. Right, we're going to go into the recount phase now, see who scores what. Right, so recount phase with turn 3 done. All the models that could took off 1 point of stun damage. This assassin has come around now, so he will be active in the last turn of the game. Right, in terms of who scored what, well, for the League of Assassins side, From the Shadows does not score this turn because Nightwing did not die. However, they did get another Eradicate the Order out for a lovely another 3 points. They still have more suspect markers in play than the Bat Family. As I said, it was likely to be the case. But yeah, 3 points is always welcome. For the Bat Family's point, they had no actual scores at all. For the end phase, they have to score theirs during the course of the turn. Right. Right, okay, on to turn 4, the last turn. Not too many models left on either side. Well, could be worse, I suppose. And yeah, we're going to see who can squeak this one out. Okay, Take the Lead and Raise the Plan phases are both done for the last round, and yes, right, so cards played. From the Shadows once again, 4 for 4, coming out for the League of Assassins. They're choosing Nightwing to be the recipient of a sharp object and hopefully die for their points. Nothing for the Batman crew in these two phases. Right, the League of Assassins have the initiative with a mighty roll that overcame all the passes that the Batman crew could have had, and yes, in terms of audacity, all the Bat Family have audacity once again. For the well, for want of a better, more scientific way of deciding, I just decided to give audacity to all the League models which are standing up. So it's just the guy who's knocked down, having just come around, who doesn't have audacity. So there we go. Okay, right, it's time now to move into the last set of activations and score what we can. Let's see what we can do. Ra's al Ghul took the advantage of winning the initiative for the first time to go to activate himself. He moved into contact with Batman and attacked him with his sword. Both sides put maximum effort in, and after all was said and done, 1 hit got through. Unfortunately, that was all. Could have been much, much worse, but it was not. So 2 points of blood for Batman. He then used his Shadow's ability to order this assassin to jump out of a suspect marker back here, which should be gone by now. Sorry, my mistake. And he jumped in and attacked Batman and did nothing. Despite putting 3 points of effort in, Batman easily blocked all of the incoming attacks. It could have been so much more. He was just trying to get Batman to use up a bit more of that lovely big effort limit he's got, but it was not to be the case, unfortunately, for the League this time. In terms of cards, We Cannot Be Defeated was played by the League, so they have to have at least 3 suspects in play within 6 inches at the end of the turn to score that. Okay, on to the Bat Family. Alfred activated first. First of all, he picked up this suspect marker, which had been here all along, to use his Batcave support trait to give Batman an extra attack counter for the remainder of the turn, just in case he needs it. He then moved down here, picked up one of the League of Assassins suspect markers, and was able to play Comb Through Everything again for 2 more points and a bit of a cycle of the old deck. Lovely jubbly. Keep getting those scores in, Batman Family. Keep getting them in. Well, for the League's part, they activated this archer. He had audacity. He's got not an awful lot else to do, to be perfectly honest, so he just popped a suspect marker down here. That's all he could really do. Yeah, that's it. He did actually shoot at Batman with his arrows, but missed because it's Batman and he's rubbish. So it's been not a great day for Arrow Guy. I didn't actually take him expecting him to do a lot apart from put down suspect markers. I just happen to have exactly the right number of points left at the end to take him. So there we are. Okay, that's him done. But he has been putting suspect markers and whatnot into formation, so he's doing his job. Well, Batman's got his back to us because he's busy doing the Lord's work, and well, he moved there and battered his way through both of these enemies, knocking both of them out, and then popped down a suspect marker by playing. Oh, sorry, because yeah, he had to play. Where's the card? I put the card down. Stupid me. Yeah. He played "They Won't See Me Coming" as a resource again to get himself an additional manipulate action. Sorry, had to remember that. He then put down a suspect marker, which was allowing him to play. Arm twisting again, Black Ops, because he's within 8 inches and so is a suspect marker, but not in line of sight of this chump around here. Okay, and that concludes his activation. He scored 2 points, took out 2 enemies. That's a pretty Batman way to finish the game. In what turns out to be the last League Models activation of the game, this guy activated and he just moved here and popped down a suspect marker. There you go, a bit more perspective as to where he is. Desperately trying to make sure that "We Cannot Be Defeated" card will score by having clusters of suspect markers around. Okay, that concludes his activation, and yeah, that's the end of the league. We just got one model to go and we'll see what he gets up to. Yep, and to finish off the game, it was pretty epic. He moved from being an acrobat, he moved all the way from here to here, no problem really. And right, so next thing he did was to attack this acolyte and eventually knock him out. Points of effort were made, etc., but it was sufficient. He's now going to use his special action to arrest this guy, and that allowed him to play as a lucky last minute entry to the hand, get them off the streets just in the nick of time. You know, it came into their hand and he got it just as he needed it. So 3 lovely points. He then spent 1 more point of effort, the last one he'd been saving it special, to pick up the suspect marker that was there. I put him on top of here because it looks more interesting, that's all. He could have been down below and hit him anyway, but yeah, he decided to do it from up there because it's more cool, and that's definitely Nightwing. Right, okay, that represents the end of the turn. In terms of activations, we do have to go to the recount phase, where I'm going to see who scored what in the last turn, and then we'll do the final count. See you in a sec. Okay, it's been a hard-fought game, so in the recount phase, let's see. Well, unfortunately for the league, "We Cannot Be Defeated" does not score, because Nightwing just took out one of the crucial linchpin suspect markers, so there's none within 6, there aren't 3 within 6 inches of each other anymore, so that does not score. The league did not kill Nightwing, so From the Shadows, again, does not score. However, they do have another, the last Eradicate the Order, from their hand to score right now. They still do have way more suspect markers in play than the Bat family, so they do get another 3 points at least. For the Bat family's part, they have no cards in the, you know, so to speak, waiting throughout the course of the turn. They do, however, score valuable commodities, because Batman still is very much live and kicking and has that loot counter, so that will score for the Bat family. And that is that. I better go to do the final count now and the final thoughts, and we'll see who's come out on top. I actually don't have a clue really. Both sides have done some heavy hitting. The Bat family have scored an awful lot of cards, but their cards are generally less, well, don't score as highly in general as the league, so we'll see what happens. Back in a sec. Okay, I'm holding the Bat family's cards first. Let's see what they've got, shall we? So, 2, 4, 5, 7, 10, 11, 13, 15, oh god, numbers 17, 20, 22, 24, 27, 30 points. That's pretty, that's what I call pretty healthy. Shall we see what the league have? So 30 points isn't bad for a crew which only has 4 models. Bear in mind they're limited activations, if you ask me, but I'm not a pro. Right, league. They got 3, 5, 8, what's the word, 10, 12, 15, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 29. 29 points to 30 in the Bat family's favour. I had no idea it was that close. Wow. Probably in a tournament or something that'd be counted as a draw, but I count that as a win because it's 1 point and that's all you need sometimes. So the Bat family has thwarted Ra's al Ghul's plans to concoct whatever he's concocting in this awful looking chemical mess. Wow. All down to that, every card score, you know, is important, that game. Every card, even down to Nightwing's last desperate squeak of taking up that last suspect marker, just because he's got Vigilante's work is a really, really handy skill. So's always on the move. He didn't really get to use it that much today, but that can also be a game winner. This model is the nuts, I tell you. And I really like the new Batman as well. This makes the multiverse, that makes the big old big Batman really worth having as well in your collection if you want to use him. Really like him. Wow. Let me know what you think of the game, everybody. I thought that was cool. It's been a while since I've played properly, it feels like, for some reason, and so if I've missed anything off or anything's come up duff, then let me know, of course. I hope you enjoyed it though, because I enjoyed it, and yeah, it's good to push the old models around the board again, isn't it? Well, I'll see you in the future for more Batmaning and more other games too, if that's what you're interested in. Maybe something brand new on the horizon as well. Okay. Well, yeah, like I said, comment, like, etc. if you like to do that, sacrifice to the algorithm gods, etc. And I shall see you in the next one. Ta-ta, bye-bye.